Divine protection is when God protects you. Divine protection is when God himself keeps you. Divine protection is when God is your shield. Divine protection is when the battle's not yours, but the Lord's. It is a defensive posture from the kingdom when God is guarding you. An example we have of this is Job. Do you recall in the account of Job that Satan presented himself and Satan proclaimed to the Lord that we can't touch Job because he has this hedge, this hedge of protection, that we can't touch him, we can't touch his kids, we can't touch anything pertaining to him. Well, the hedge that Satan was referring to was not necessarily an invisible force field, but the Bible says that the angel of the Lord encamps about them that fear him. That's right, the angel of the Lord. Angels protect they that fear God. They protected every facet of Job and his life. He had angels, a band of angels surrounding and round about his home, surrounding and round about each of his children, surrounding round about his business ventures and his business deal and his means of making a living. He had a band of angels round about everything pertaining to him, his marriage, his health, everything pertaining to Job was guarded by angels, because the Bible says that the angel of the Lord encamps about them that fear God. Oh. And so we know that at least initially Job feared God. But how many know there is a difference between the fear of the Lord and the spirit of fear? And we know that Job experienced both the former and the latter. He apparently began in the fear of the Lord because the angels were there to protect him and his. But when everything hit the fan and Job lost everything, Job began to say that which I fear most has come upon me. Do you realize what happened? Job shifted from the fear of the Lord and into the spirit of fear. And don't you know, they are two diametrically opposing forces? And so all of us desire God's guardianship. All of us desire the hedge about us. Job walked in that, showing us that that does in fact exist. Job didn't receive any surprises, any bad news and bad reports and see things hit him off by unawares. No, because the angel of the Lord protected all of that. But somehow Job fell out of the fear of the Lord and into the spirit of fear. What is the difference, someone might beg? You see, the spirit of the fear of the Lord is the love and the respect of God. That's right. It's the love and the respect of God. And you see, the spirit of fear is not defined by love, but fear only. There is a difference when you respect and love someone than there is when you are afraid of someone. And Job became afraid of God. And the indication of that is when it all hit the fan and Job lost everything, as all had been handed over into Satan's hands. And he said, that which I feared most hath come upon me. Now let's begin to unravel the difference, because sometimes you may believe you're walking in the spirit of the fear of the Lord, but you may in fact be walking in the spirit of fear. You see, the spirit of fear is Satan's domain. You see, the reason God gave everything over unto Satan, because Job had fallen into fear. And what happens is, remember, fear is not the opposite of faith. Fear is a form of faith. It is faith in the worst. It is faith in the reverse. It's when you believe the worst is going to happen. You worry about the worst happening. You're operating not in the spirit of faith, but faith inverted, or even faith perverted, otherwise known as fear. So fear is not the opposite of faith. Fear is in fact a form of faith. And so as Job began to operate in fear, the enemy was allowed to have access to all that the angel of the Lord was encamped about. Oh, come on now. Now see, when you're operating in the spirit of the spirit of the fear of the Lord, you're walking in love and respect of God. You respect him and you love him. You love him and you respect him. In fear, in fear, you're not so much preoccupied with God, but the fear of losing that which you love. Does someone relate to what I'm talking about? The Bible says that Job got up whenever his kids had a party. He would the next day offer a sacrifice to God in the event that one of them would think something bad in their heart against God while being drunk. You see, Job had gotten into fear, so that you know that you can be praying protection for your kids and it not be in faith, it not be in the spirit of the fear of the Lord, but it be in the spirit of fear. And the very act of fear is making your children vulnerable according to your faith in the word. According to your faith in the worst. You see, Job's hedge came unraveled because he stepped outside of the kingdom. See, the Bible says, where there's love, there's no fear. But perfect love casts out fear. So here's the differences. In the fear of the Lord, you have love and respect. But in the spirit of fear, there is no love. See, where there's love, there's no fear. But conversely, where there's fear, there's no love. Oh. You see, when you're in the spirit of the fear of the Lord, you're aware of your love of God. You're aware that he loves you and that you love him. You're praying for your kids because you know, first off, that God knows that you have need of even when you pray, and that he wants to give you above or beyond what you could ask or think. You're going to the God that you love. That's why Jesus said when he was teaching the disciples to pray, he said, you should pray this way. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You first off, you go into his presence with thanksgiving and into his courts for praise. Yes, you have a problem, you have an issue, but first off, you're going to God out of love.